Okay, sorry for the delay. So I will now do a summary of the bare metal CI workshop that happened about 2 days ago. Oh no, yesterday. Feels like 2 days ago. So my name is Martin Roukala. I'm a valve contractor, and we had quite a few people in coming to the CI workshop. So we started by just talking about what are the different CI farms that are available for open source projects. So Collabora has something, and that is GitLab based, and it's used for Mesa or DRM testing, and it has quite a lot of Chromebooks there and other devices, but mostly Chromebooks as far as I know. Then there's Igalia, who has again GitLab based testing for Mesa on Raspberry Pis. Intel, which came like much earlier, but uh, like these two systems, there's one for Mesa that is invitation based, or like unless you're working for Intel, it's invitation based, and you can do pre-merge testing there. So you push your tree and you get results. Then there is the i915 and IGT CI system, which is based on emails. So you just send your batch series to certain mailing list, and then you get results. LunarG has something that is GitHub based for testing for graphics reconstruct. Qualcomm has GitLab based kernel testing on their devices, and Valve and Igalia also are using GitLab based testing for Mesa and DXVK on AMD GPUs. And then there's potential newcomers that would be AMD, who would like to have a mailing list based IGT / display testing, and Imagination Technology, who's also wanting to go into GitLab based Power VR testing for Mesa. So quite a few interested parties. So here are the general topics of conversation that we had. So there was the topic of how do we better integrate the test farms with GitLab. So there are some issues. For instance, so if developers are trying to run their tests or do some pre-merge testing, potentially if too many of them are actually making testing at the same time, it could prevent merging in Mesa, which is potentially problematic. So it's possible to DDoS. So we're going to talk about this. Then we would need to simplify the use of bare metal CI. Then also we were talking about test suites. So something that would be for trace or trace-based testing and IGT result processing. Making it easier to set up new CI farms so that we would have more actors. And on Mesa CI, reducing development complexity and easing local reproducibility of the builds and run environment. So for GitLab integration, I'm going to try to be very fast. GitLab can prioritize what is project critical job or a developer that just wants to test their code. And so that means that we need to either prevent developers from using the bare metal runners, or we need to add support for job prioritization in GitLab so that every job from Marge is always the next one that is going to be picked and not the ones from random developers. Another issue that we can have is, or that we have, is that running on bare metal runners is different than running on the cloud. So you need two different code paths, and it makes it, depending on the runner that you want to use, and that's a little silly. We can do better by creating our own executor, and this is something that Collabora has already started, and this is also something that my team has been looking into. Then for the test suites, I don't think we're going to have much time to talk about this, but it's in the slides. We'll get there. I mean, we can talk about it after if you want. Simplifying setting up a new CI farm. I'm going to quote Daniel Stone here. That was a beautiful quote. It can't be that companies need to hire a consulting company to run tests. Yes, that's the situation we are in right now. We need to do better. Along with my team, I've been working on making a turnkey solution for CI farms. It's important for us for other reasons, but then this is something that could be used to replicate our system pretty easily, and with documentation and everything. And I have a blog post series on my blog that that explain like, or if you want to make a CI system, then here are the general considerations and what I would recommend. But it tries to be very broad. Finally, the Mesa CI development workflow. Another quote from Daniel Stone: "We have 12,000 CI jobs per day with expected growth." So that means that there are some trade-offs that need to happen between ease of use and reducing the costs on the infrastructure. So, for instance, the containers cannot be built for every single project or build. So instead, there is like a base container that is made using CI template and then cached, so it's not recreated every time you want to run your pipeline. And that means also that test environments and the different variables that you send, like the environment variables for running the tests, they're not baked into a container, so it makes running the same test environment as CI a little tricky sometimes. And this is something that we're going to try to improve by both documentation and reducing the amount of environment variables that need to be passed around depending on the stage. And okay, that was conclusion. Generally, what we can say is that pretty much every CI system is converging towards GitLab-based testing, which is good. There is more research that needs to be done on how to set up a CI farm and on what would be an acceptance criteria for IGT or trace-based testing. And if you're interested in this topic, please join us on Free Desktop, the channel Free Desktop on OFTC, on IRC. And sorry for being over time.